Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Life Hacks with Mac, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Joel Felsenstein, who is an inspiration of note. And the more I get to know him, the more I'm inspired and blown away with the absolute talent and intelligence and the big visions and dreams that he has. And today I wanted to share his story with you and get to know Joel a little bit better. And find out about the big dream and big vision that Joel has for people globally through music, but especially through autism as well. So today, Joel, thank you so much for joining me. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on here, and having seen some of your recent clips that you've shared with me, it makes your story even more interesting than you've already been, and you blow my mind every time we speak. There's something new that creeps in. But today I wanted to just start, Joel, with giving a little bit of background from where you were born, a little background story of what kind of challenges you faced in your early years. And then we'll progress into and let people into the big picture of what you're trying to achieve out in the world. And I'm looking forward to sharing some of the big dreams and visions you have as we go on with this conversation. So over to you, Joel.
Right. Thank you, Mac. I was born right around the corner from where I live now, the next town over, in Watford, Hertfordshire, United Kingdom. 2 weeks later, it was a normal birth, and then 2 weeks later, 7 days it took to manifest the condition. And 2 weeks later, I was shipped off by police and ambulances to Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital, where I spent 7 months in the ICU.
And that was straight after birth?
More or less a
couple of weeks
after, yeah.
Wow. And what was the cause? What happened?
Well, Mum took me home. She fed me normal stuff, normal milk, all that stuff. So it was fine. I was a bit sleepy, drowsy, and then by the 7th day, we went back in. You don't normally take your baby back where it came from.
No, it's not the plan.
And then they did some blood tests, and the doctors said, no, he hasn't got, it's most unlikely that he'll have this condition. No, he won't have it. And then every single blood came back negative, and MSUD came back positive. So the very thing that the doctor said I wouldn't have, I did have.
So this, can you explain exactly what the impact of that was for you, and what does that syndrome mean? Because it had quite a big impact from what you've told me.
Yes, if you look it up online, if left untreated, life could have been very short. Untreated, undiagnosed, they didn't know what was wrong. If left untreated, it could be, for wanting a better word, curtains. And for those of you who are not in the UK, that means goodbye.
I mean, so you've had obstacles put in your way from almost day one.
Yes. And
from the conversations we've had so far, I don't see you as somebody who sees obstacles as obstacles. You kind of navigate your way through, and always extremely positive and a big thinker and a big dreamer, which is really awesome. I mean, you were telling me about the hospital earlier, and you mentioned that in your early days you already had an impact on some of the stars in the world, and can you share a couple of those with us in your very early days? Not that you may remember, but that at least you've got the privilege of being able to tell.
Yes, I don't remember any of them. I certainly didn't see one of them. I didn't see one of them until my parents saw both of them. One of them was when Princess Diana visited Great Ormond Street Hospital in 93, 94, I don't remember the year. And I was on the same ward by that time as Gary Lineker's son, and Gary, obviously, that we couldn't ask for an autograph because at that point Gary was like every other father.
Yeah.
Running in and out of
in and out of the hospital.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that Lady Diana actually, out of all the children that were there, she actually picked you up.
She did. I've still got that picture somewhere.
Okay, so there's evidence as well.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, that's incredible. She's an iconic woman who will be remembered for, I think, as long as we shall live, at least. And I can say I'm just a little jealous. So then, after that, what was the impact on your life? After you came out of Great Ormond Street, what happened next?
Well, I had this new diet to follow. These new drinks I had to have to basically keep me alive.
Yeah.
I had all the tubes you can think of except the train. I had the nasogastric, I had the gastrostomy, and then I decided, right, enough of this, because every time the tube got changed, it was pretty damn painful to pull out and put back in. So
how long did that process, until how old were you, but that all lasted?
I had enough by the time I was 18 and ready to go to college, so I thought, okay, I'm going to drink this stuff, suck it up, or die trying, to use the term loosely. And by 18, I took the gastrostomy out for good, and have been drinking the stuff ever since. Still disgusting, but
they can't even put it in a nice flavor for you.
They tried, but it's the amino acids that are the disgusting bit.
And so you've been effectively pipe free and since you were 18. And what did that mean for you when it comes to just normal life and being able to get out like other teenagers were and take part in things? How did that impact you?
Well, taking part in things, I still found rather difficult to do, regardless of my newfound freedom from the tube. Because when I used to have it directly into the stomach, someone would stand there with their hand up, gravity with the work, everything goes down. I was just sitting there like minding my own business, and that was far from normal. But drinking it, it's like drinking a one of those fruity drinks in a.
Just not as exciting. And tell me, then you started your music career. Now, when did that all start? When did the love for music even arrive on the horizon?
I sprained my ankle. Ironically, it was when I was at the falling out of bed stage in the night. Then my mum put a mattress down to stop me from doing it. It didn't really work terribly well because I bounced off the mattress into the wardrobe. So then I sprained my ankle that way. Then we were going to go to a wedding of a family friend in Israel, and at that point I was in the buggy. I couldn't walk very far anyway. I had splints in the first place, so I had to correct my walking. So I was sitting there while everyone was dancing around. I was staying up on the stage, and then I remember saying to my dad, I want to play that, and pointing the drum kit. And then at the age of 7, I got lessons.
And so, with all the other challenges and everything else that's happening in your life, you decide you're going to take on the drums, which is one of the, the ensemble. I mean, all the equipment around you and
all 4 limbs working at once. Yeah.
And I can't think of a noisier instrument. If I had a son in the house playing drums, must have driven your parents mad at some stages, I'm sure.
Yes, they said even now in hindsight, then maybe we should have got an electric drum kit if we knew they existed back then. Of course they did, but who has a spare for £4,000 lying around in their pockets? An average family of three of us, who has that?
Yeah, especially when you were 8 years old, that was worth even more then. So sure. And so you started drums at the age of 7, and I just want to bring the autistic side of things in your life and how that has impacted. And when were you diagnosed with autism?
I was diagnosed quite early on, actually, before school.
Okay.
The psychologists up at Great Ormond Street flagged that up, hence what they and the same thing has been flagged up every single time since then, which is why the DVLA have only granted me permission to drive in 2020 as opposed to the conventional age at 17.
Wow.
Because the same thing was always flagged up, the spatial awareness.
So that just having the label of autism as such, how's that impacted you, and has it caused you much frustration and challenges within just general schooling, workplace, social?
Schools, I went through two primary schools and 2 secondary schools, 2 high schools, and then I went to a special needs college.
And that was all, and the reason for the changes was that
they were just, I went from the 600 strong pupil school down to a considerably smaller school with a better SEN unit.
Okay, which means that you would have been able to get more support that way, yeah, as well.
And then we went, and then because of all the friends, all the people in my year, they weren't friends, they were schoolmates, and because of all the people in my year that were going to Hadmo Secondary, my parents thought that would be the route to go for me as well. That soon transpired not to be the case. I was hardly there. After I started not turning up hardly there until I left entirely and moved to Grammar, which had again, smaller school, better unit. Private school though. So we had to get the council and to fund it, obviously. And then we had to play the council's game before they did that. So
Joel, we have a few things that I'd like to understand is, you're at 18, you came off all the tubes and you started, as you say, the freedom, as it were. And then you went to college, and what did you study at college?
I studied level 1 music technology. It was good in the first year. The second year, it became apparent, but I did the 3 years anyway, because that's what we were doing. It became apparent to my parents that I was almost getting a pretty pointless at as well. I was in a house with more special needs people than myself, and it was becoming, second year was becoming pointless. Third year I wasn't doing much learning and studying and all that, and just waiting for the time to run out.
So you did your studies, and you completed the 3 years?
Yep.
Yeah. And then when did the whole music thing start with you teaching and playing drums and all the things that you do today?
It started, so I was teaching a bit before I dropped out of my other secondary school, not having it in the other one. Before I dropped out of year 12, I just literally had enough. I knew I wasn't going to do GCSE, A-level rather. So I thought, if I'm not going to do it, what's the point of having free time and wasting a year of doing normal stuff? So I dropped out, and I started teaching the head of the SEN unit, son, and then that folded, and then he lost interest at that age because he was 5, 6. And then I went to college, picked it up after college again after I worked at a manual from 2014 to 2018, and then I picked up teaching in the middle of the pandemic.
So, I mean, you've had quite a few things happen, but one of the things I want those watching to kind of realize is, and you kind of made light of it right in the beginning, of the fact that, literally within the first 2 weeks, you got diagnosed with something that literally your life could have been over if it hadn't been diagnosed in time. You then spent 9 months at Great Ormond Street, and that for any child is it's huge, because you've taken away from your parents almost within days, and then have all these wonderful challenges that you've had to face with regards to just living off feeding tubes and all these weird and wonderful tests, and being diagnosed with autism, and obviously lots of challenges for your parents to navigate along the way. But you've always, whenever we speak, you come across as somebody that's always, you make light of everything, and you always seem to be quite upbeat and positive. And what do you put that down to?
I put that down to, I guess, acceptance of what I've got. It won't change, at least in my lifetime. It won't change. There wasn't any screening when I was born, but there is now. I mean, it's medicine that is a slow process. And 7 months of being an inpatient, and 2 months of being outpatient after that, and then the rest of my life being outpatient. I just get on my life as best I can, and
that comes through very strongly with everything that you do. I mean, if you look at the music and the drums and all the things that you've done, what got you inspired? Because one of the things that a lot of people won't know at this stage is that you've got this vision of changing things when it comes to how people that are labeled with autism are firstly treated, the access to various things that you get, but also to the possibilities that are out there that you would like to be able to give people access to. And where did all that kind of vision come from? Like what initiated that for you?
Very good question. It came from, I've not gone down the usual traditional job route of going to an interview after interview, CVs and anything. When I dropped out of school, my mum found a videographer, which is a one-man show. So it suited me nicely because it was just me and him. Then I went to college. I then made a call to my father, who worked at Manual. He got me an interview there. And then in 2018, I was at a cousin's bar mitzvah, and I asked another cousin, is there any job openings? And I got an interview that way. So I've not gone down the traditional interview channel. It's always been family orientated or something. But the latest job, was an eye opener from a difference how the corporate world sees special needs versus the educational world.
And what was the big difference that you found there?
No one gives a shit. Excuse the language.
So when you say that, and what when it comes to corporate world, what and how what happened to make you feel that that's the way things are?
At the beginning, I got made promises, blah 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 blah, like relocating you to the States, blah blah blah. That the carrot dangling technique. And then by the end of the visit to the state for the annual meeting, it was this is your last day. We've got nothing more for you here.
So you got taken the whole way to the States?
Yes.
And got told there?
Yes. No, I got yelled at there, and then I came back, and then I went to Israel for a holiday with my parents, and then for a cousin's bat mitzvah. And then I messaged me in Israel saying we need to talk when you get back. We need to we need to talk in my office when you get back. And now I thought, yeah, that's not normally a good thing.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those conversations. Unfortunately, been on both ends, and it's not nice either way. So,
he wasn't the one to officially dismiss me. It was the executive. Sorry, I got something in my eye. It was the CFO who dismissed me.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the CFO who dismissed me.
And so.
And then at that point, I was at that point pretty pissed at my cousin. And then I never talked to him until ever again, because that was the last time I saw him, because he passed away.
So, so I mean, that's obviously caused a family challenge for you. Because
never work with family.
Well, I think I've experienced and seen that in many cases, not only personally, but through friends and other colleagues who've had similar situations. But taking that aside, because unfortunately, the reality is, even if you work with family or you don't work with family, being somebody who's been made redundant 6 times at the top of my game at different companies, where each time I thought, I'm doing well here, I'm in the top 1% of performers in the country or in the company, and then the company goes, well done, congratulations, you've done so well, we're selling the company, and goodbye. And it's like, so the reality of especially now with the pandemic is that a lot of people are going to face that situation. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, now as a result of the pandemic, there will be more people facing, and I know lots of people that have lost positions, or their companies have gone bust. But when it comes to how you would like to see the corporate world accept and work with people that are autistic, what do you think we could do differently? What do you think you want to bring to the mix?
I've always been a firm believer in actions speak louder than words, and I've been also firm believer as well with the fact that practical versus theory says a lot more. It's all very well having a certificate from Yale or Harvard or whatever. If you can't do the bloody thing that they're looking for in the way they want to in this current day and age, they'll say thank you very much for coming, goodbye. And if you're autistic, or even if you're not, it still hurts.
What is your vision about how you could see things differently for autistic people?
We all plonked on this planet. We might as well work together instead of turning people away.
And what does that look like for you, as an example? I mean, what kind of support or what kind of things do you want the mainstream businesses to kind of realize that the advantage to them would be, and what kind of roles and skills do you feel would be more focused and beneficial?
I think there should be more learn on the job. Many companies have dismissed that now. I think there is a place for education, but if you don't suit that path, and let's face it, most autistic people don't suit that path. They want to learn on the practical. And my belief that you learn by doing, and if you fail, that's learning. And you don't know what not to do. Whereas if you receive a grade, say F, that's very degrading, excuse the pun. It puts you down. It's not meant to, but it does. It puts anyone down. Everyone wants an A because that's what society dictates they should have.
And that's a great point, about the impact it has. And at the end of the day, having that A, so what? If you still do the job, then the A looks really nice on a certificate, but so what? So when it comes to music as an example and something that you're very passionate about.
Yeah.
And as we've, you and I have discussed, it's one of those international languages that just transcend all cultures and backgrounds, and something that you feel that could be something that could really help in the autistic world. How do you see that vision? What does that look like to you and for the rest of the world?
No, that's not just me that says that. That's scientifically proven. That has been scientifically proven from every angle, and if you deny that, I'm sorry, but you've been living under a rock.
I 100% agree with that.
But music creativeness is what sets us apart from what we're using now, which is computers.
So
we're doing computers. You're telling it what to do, and it's just obeying orders. What do you want to be, a computer or a human being?
So, when it comes to music, how has music helped you as an example?
It's made me more level-headed, and while most autistic people have their tantrums from birth and stuff, from childhood, and some of them never grow out of it, music can help keep that. But it's kind of like cutting grass constantly. It's constantly growing and you don't know why.
So music has actually been a massive help to you through just everyday, as a coping mechanism, but also a strategy in everything else that you do. And you started coaching and teaching people how to play both the drums and the guitar. And what brought that about? What gave you that inspiration to do that?
I thought, I'm good at this. I want to pass this on. I want other people to do well and follow, even if their parents may not agree with the path. And I thought, if you're good at something, teach. If you're good at something, teach. In the words of School of Rock, if you're good at something, you teach. If you're bad at something, you teach gym.
Well, I'm sure there are a few people who will have a different opinion on that. But
like Max said in the film, it's very famous.
So, the next thing that I want to understand is, music's played a very big role in your life. It's helped you with, from a young age, as you said, around 7 years old when you started being taught how to play, and you've gone through challenges just like everybody else, with work and things not working out the way you want them to, and having the challenges that a lot of people face in the workplace, but not necessarily taking into consideration how to necessarily deal with somebody who is autistic, and being able to put them in a role where it really gets the best out of the individual. And the system sounds like it needs redesigning when it comes to whether it be corporate or schooling, in order to be able to help facilitate the learning in a better way for autistic people. Would you say that's right?
Well, the system has been broken. It's never really worked, and that's living proof from our leaders in government. If this rubs people up the wrong way, I'm sorry, but it's the truth. To our prison systems and our school systems, the system has never worked. So I agree, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But in this case, the system's very much broken. And instead of saying we'll fix it, they're saying there's nothing we can do about it.
And is that something that you found on a regular basis through?
Yeah. Even social life, I'm not the most socialized. I haven't got the social life I grew up with. I grew up with people my own age. I was that kid in the playground no sod wanted to play with, and I still am. So if people come back to me in 10 years' time when they discover I'm doing well, I'll say, sorry, where have you been for the last 20 years?
I think, when you talk about the system like that, and I very casually say, I talk about autistic people. Yeah. You and I have had some interesting discussions around this, and the fact that it's such a, the label is so easily given to somebody without necessarily understanding, the impact, because each individual is impacted by it totally differently. And you've referred to a few things already, which I personally have experienced through family members with autism, and it's just there's it's one word that cannot, unfortunately, as far as I'm concerned, be attached to, like, it doesn't define every single person, because there's such a wide range of how it impacts people on a day-to-day basis. And we've I've come across some very successful people globally that have a level of autism that has actually been so beneficial to them. And we've seen some incredible artists and musicians where, that isn't highlighted necessarily, that actually, hey, look at the genius gene, as far as I'm concerned, that is present in those people, and help, I think, the rest of the world work better with people that have got some form of autism. And how when you have those conversations, or people talk about it, what are some of the biggest frustrations that you face around the label, should we say?
I think the frustrations that most people, including myself, find is that the organizations like Autism Speaks, National Autistic Society, you'll find doesn't speak for any autistic person. They speak for themselves, and they speak because they want to understand, but they don't understand autism. You want to understand autism, ask someone who's got the bloody thing.
I mean, it does sound like a rather logical, obvious statement, but
but logical,
unfortunately,
doesn't happen.
That doesn't, logic doesn't always prevail, should we say? I mean, from your experience, how many people do you know of where there are autistic foundations that have got people that actually have got autism involved in the decision-making process and driving the vision?
I wouldn't say foundations. Very few organizations have that. You mentioned one, which organization is TalkTalk. The other one, of course, on the other side of the world, started off in Germany, is called Auticon.
Okay. And
both of these things are commonly seen in the tech and creative industries, where you would find them. If we walked into Google right now and into any of the divisions, and I said to them by show of hands, who's autistic? 90% of the room, or a little less, will put their hands up willingly, and most of them, if their bosses are in the room, they won't do it.
Why do you think that is?
Because society wants everyone to fall in line and conform to its needs, and therefore autistic people find it a lot easier and need to mask their abilities.
And I guess that's a whole other discussion that we can go down a few different rabbit holes potentially, but what I picked up there is that, just that word mask, and in today's day and age, when everybody is so accepting of all different types of individuals,
that's bullshit.
That's a really sad statement. I mean, the fact that people have to
they're not accepting of every single individual. That is complete bullshit. No one can be.
So Joel, my next question for you is, and I love the name Rockstar X, which is, and I just want to say it out clearly, Rockstar X is Joel's. So if you want to think about Rockstar X in any way, this is the man that has coined the phrase. And watch out, watch this space for a lot more in the near future. So Joel, tell me Rockstar X, how did this come about? What's the vision?
The vision for Rockstar X is creating a unique, where the strapline is where uniqueness meets imagination meets creativity, and it's not just for the this idea is not just for the gaming, definitely not just for the gaming. I want to get that out now. It's not a gaming company. So if Take-Two if Take-Two Interactive is listening, this is not for gaming. So go away, Rockstar. And this is not an energy drink either.
This is where genius is born.
And it's basically the company it's like going to a concert and becoming the band which you want to see. This is becoming the company which you want to see and which you're too afraid to actually make because society may kick you in the ass.
So you're coming up against a lot of, and you will come up against a lot of preconceived perceptions, obstacles, old school thinking, and how does that make you feel?
See, this is what I like about being musicians. The number one rule that a musician lives by is there are no rules, and stick it to the man. The man is being society. Last time I checked, every single human being had a brain and, as far as I'm aware, can think for themselves, which society likes to take away.
So for you, this is all about empowerment.
Yes, giving back to the masses.
And so Rockstar X is that's the big picture, to be able to help individuals, whether they have got autism or not,
chase their dreams and follow their own line of dreams, and obviously legally.
And one of the parts of that dream that you have is there's this and I don't want to go into too much detail, but there's this incredible venue that you want to be able to have as part of your.
You can go into detail, mate.
Hey,
you can go into as much detail as you like. I'm sure the media, it's as the estate agent says, it's hot property.
So one of your dreams and goals right now is to be able to secure a studio. Then, if you're happy to for me to divulge that information,
it's out there already. Daily Mail is mentioning it. New York Times has mentioned it. Every sodding media outlet has mentioned it. So,
for those who are listening, Sawmill's studio here in the UK is what Joel and I are actually going to go down and have a look at on Sunday. And we've been speaking to various people in the background about supporting Joel's cause for Rockstar X, as well as getting involved with the securing of Sawmill Studio as part of the big dream. And it is an iconic location which you can't even get to by car. You have to catch a boat to get to. And some of the top bands around the world have recorded their music there, which makes it a global iconic location for
all of which I grew up with listening to.
And I mean that is incredible in itself, with the fact that all those artists that you grew up listening to may actually be part of your dream to secure a place that you will help continue the legacy for. And that's part of the dream as well, but also being able to give people access, whether they're mainstream artists or aspiring musicians and people with autism, to come out and experience what a real studio is all about, where incredible music has already been made for over 50 years. And I mean, how does it make you feel just knowing that that's a possibility.
I have not been able to stop thinking about this ever since I saw the listing. And the listing came to me quite by accident when I was given my marching orders to look for a recording studio to rent and to move out from my parents' house because I make too much noise.
Well, I mean, talk about dreaming big. You know, most people would just go and find another apartment somewhere, but
drummers can't do that.
Yeah,
can't do that.
So again, another restriction from your passion is, you know, the fact that with a drum kit you can't quite just move in next door to anybody, because that could be a it could be a short-stayed process. Okay, so you know, right now, what is it that you feel? How can people help you? What is the biggest things people can do right now to be able to help you achieve your dream and help others through this process?
Well, the questionnaire, which we haven't finished yet, says one of the most obvious one is to investors, advocates.
I mean, you're looking at all kinds of interest right now, and
yeah.
I think the one thing that's really important to get out there is that, you know, yes, there are a lot of companies that could come out and or people that could help you with this this dream in the process, and most of them would come because it's purely a commercial, you know, venture.
Yeah.
But the reality is we're looking at something more than that. We're looking at the big dream of, you know, how to help autistic people in mainstream. We're looking at how to make music accessible to, you know, children of all ages and people with all kinds of challenges in the world, because music has been proven to not only help in education, but in therapy and you know, mental health in a massive way. So with the recent pandemic and how many people are challenged with you know, mental health issues now because of you know, the global changes that we faced, more than ever, this is so important to be able to get something like this out when music becomes that universal language that is used in education as well as in, you know, opportunities for people out there. And you know, that gives us the opportunity right now to want to reach out to people that have got a vested interest, firstly in the music world, but also people that understand the challenges that come along with autism. And we're not just talking about parents of children that have had it. I'm talking about individuals that actually have it themselves, that want to make a difference and make things easier for those people that follow in their shoes because of the challenges they may have faced themselves as well. So if you fall into that boat, if you're a possible investor or you're a possible, you know, advocate for autism and music, then please do us a favor. We will be putting a link down below where you can go and register your interest, or just, you know, message Joel or myself directly on LinkedIn, and we'll be more than happy to connect and see where a conversation may lead. And you know, on that, Joel, I just want to thank you for your patience with me, and also just your honesty with regards to your journey and what you've been through. And I believe this is just the beginning, and I'm excited to see where this may lead.
So am I.
Excellent stuff. Well, Joel, listen, massive blessings, and I'm looking forward to seeing you know, some of these big dreams come to fruition, and all the exciting things that will come as a result.
Thank you.